Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys is another MCU movie review. We're kicking strong, metaphorically of course. Today we're tackling Ant-Man 2, aka Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, going into this review, I was like, oh, this is a fine movie. It's a little underwhelming, and it's really not as grand a scale as Infinity War, for example, or some other MCU movies. And it's fine. It's nothing too special about it. It's okay at best. I bought it. I don't hate it. It's whatever. And upon rewatch, yeah, it is not bad. Nowhere close. It is also nowhere close to being as grandiose or as big as, say, Infinity War, which came out, right before this film, or Captain America: Civil War, or freaking Iron Man 3, even. This movie doesn't have that high stakes. It's really kind of low stakes and low. I don't want to say low energy, but just there's not a whole lot going on that's like fate of the world, oh my god, crazy, It's really about Hank Pym wanting to reconnect with Janet, his wife, the Wasp, obviously, Janet? Yeah, Janet. Who's Evangeline Lilly? I forgot her name. I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe we won't. Who knows? The Wasp, okay. I think she plays a really good role. Of course, she was in the first one. She wasn't in it a whole lot, and then in the end credits, she kind of got her Wasp suit, and then we kind of see her and Scott kind of try to, basically find these component pieces and kind of muck around black market shady dudes like Walton Goggins. I thought it was Walter. It's Walton Goggins. The guy from frickin' Fallout. That guy. He's in this, and he's kind of a shady black market dealer, I guess. Like I said, he's fine. Bill something, who is in, I believe he's Goliath. Lawrence Fishburne plays him. He's good. He's pretty much good in everything from The Matrix to John Wick to this. I think he's fine in this. Perry White, I think he was in the DCEU. But, everyone in this is good. The actors are fine and all that. But again, in terms of plot, it is nowhere near as strong as what it could have been. However, I do think overall, as an overall film package, I think this is a better movie than Ant-Man 1. And not only because we have the Wasp, but we have a better plot. I think it's more of high stakes, even though it's not as high stakes as the MCU. It is higher stakes than the first one in a way, because really, again, it's this family drama of Hank wanting to find his wife, going to the quantum zone and all that, and then you have Bill and all that trying to get Ghost. The main villain, I guess. There really isn't like a main villain, because really Ghost isn't evil. She basically got messed up as a kid. Quantum messed up. She got quantumly messed, and that quantum F-up kind of messed up her whole body, and she's able to kind of phase through things. I can't phase through things. And, basically from that, she's like, oh, every cell in her body is like, falling apart. And, getting kind of put back together. I don't think it makes that noise, but, And with that, you get this, effect that looks really great. And I think, I think that this villain, so to speak, is pretty good. Again, she's not like a crazy, she killed for S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that, so she was kind of made it to a weapon. But she's not like a mass murderer, I guess, like Thanos or Loki level. But, she does a good job of what she's given, I think. Not the best villain of all time, but again, given that low stakes, I guess, feel to the whole film, this is not an army invading New York. This is literally a dude and a few people trying to save a wife. And this is a dude trying to save I guess, like adopted daughter type situation. Again, nothing crazy. The action set pieces in this are fun. There were a few moments where I'm like, it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp. And there's a lot of really cool gimmicks where, like you've seen in they kind of ruined a lot of the shit in the trailer, which is kind of a bummer. But, like the van goes tiny and then goes big and, like, bumps a van to the side of the road. Or, the Pez dispenser gets all big and attacks a guy on a motorbike, stuff like that. That stuff's cool. We see Giant Man again. Ant-Man does get tiny. They have some really funny jokes in here, too, of course, being an Ant-Man film. They have, like, a joke where Ant-Man, Scott can't, his suit's all messed up, so, he gets tiny, but not like Ant-Man tiny. He gets, like this big tiny, like Grogu sized, and he's in a school, and he's kind of, his things are too, so he's kind of flopping around like this type thing, and it's really funny stuff. And, obviously the CGI isn't 100% perfect. Scott gets really big in, like, a closet, and Hope Van Dyne, that's it. She kind of has to, kind of climb over him and fix his belt. And it looks a little weird, but, it's not, I get it. This is not Infinity War Endgame. I highly doubt that they were, putting all of their effort into this, but you know, it looks fine for the most part. Really nothing too bad to complain about until we get to Ant-Man 3 down the line, which is the only MCU movie I actually don't have on Blu-ray. I gotta change that. I don't hate that movie. I don't love it. We'll get to it, don't worry. But this film kind of, again, has a overall atmosphere of fun. You know what I mean? There is a threat going on with Ghost, and she's kind of in pain, and she's kind of desperate, and, you know, basically you have two parties, right? Two families, quote unquote, they're desperate to fix someone and save someone. So I like that aspect. It's not just a bad guy because he or she is bad. This villain is a villain because of specific reasons, and I like that. Again, I think the comedy's good. Being an Ant-Man movie, I think it's really cool. The girl, you know, Scott's daughter, she is, you can tell she's like maybe a few years older, not too bad. Her actor, man, is like freaking crazy because, you know, you get the same little girl in Ant-Man 1 and this one. And then in, I believe, Endgame is like some random woman that we never effing see again. And she's in like one, from what I remember, she's in one scene in Endgame. And she gave a better performance than Catherine Newton or whatever in Quantumania. I swear to God. It's really freaking weird that they had that happen. But she's good in this. The little girl actor, I don't remember her name, but she did a good job in these two movies. This being her last MCU role, as far as I remember, I think she did a pretty good job. Again, all the actors are good. I think Michael Douglas as Hank Pym is really great. He's always been good. Some really funny moments with him, too. The editing's funny. Obviously, you know, Louis coming back and making his crazy jokes, man. You know, he's doing crazy shit, man. And, oh, man, like over here, man, there's a lot of stuff happening, dude. And stuff like that. That's funny. You get, I don't remember the guy's name, the black guy and the German guy who's like, Baba Yaga, you know, that guy. They're funny, you know what I mean? I think they were, they had a little bit more play in this one, I think, than the first one, which is nice. They're trying to get this business going, and there's this whole, like, weird, funny moment of, like, Walton Goggins' character, Sonny whatever, Sonny Eclipse, he brings, like a needle, like a COVID shot, and it's, like, truth serum, right? So Luis is like, oh man, it's truth serum, man. He's like, no, it's not. Shut up. And I think it's kind of funny. And some of it, you know, I think maybe they went a little bit too far with the truth serum joke. Funny the first few seconds, and then it just kept going. But in the end, it really does pay off for all the bad guys, you know, tied up, and the one I don't know, guy in charge is like, oh, it is truth serum. Funny stuff like that, where there are some good payoffs. You know, the Baba Yaga dude, he tells the story of this phantom, you know, this ghost in his culture. And Ghost shows up during that interrogation, and he's like rocking his chair like, you know, the Baba Yaga's real. Funny stuff like that, where most of it does work, and it is pretty funny. And again, I forgot a lot about this movie. Before rewatching this, I was like, yeah, it's forgettable, but it's fine. And yeah, at the end of the day, it isn't the most rememberable movie ever. Okay, it's just not. Like, it's not going to get that way for me. But it is, I think, overall a better made movie than Ant-Man 1. Again, because I think that it's cool to have the Wasp. I like the plot. I like the stakes. Even though they aren't, like, you know, crazy stupid high, like I said in the beginning, it is, you know, it's enough for me to care because I do like these characters, right? That's why it works. I like these characters. I like that they have, you know, their motivations. I like their actors. I like the writing. I like the comedy, I like the action. Of course, I really enjoyed Ant-Man 1 and the stuff that all these characters are also in. You know, there are repercussions for what Scott did in Civil War, which I like. You know, they're not just forgetting about that stuff. You know, Jimmy Woo, I think it's Jimmy Woo, the Asian cop guy, he's funny with the card tricks and all that. And, you know, I think, like I said, a lot of it does work. I like the use of the ants. Maybe Ant-Man could have been a little bit more of an actual, like, size of an Ant-Man more. You know, I do think they're trying new things. You know, what do we do? How do we make this fun and fresh and interesting? And, you know, Wasp, she gets some really badass fight scenes where she's in a kitchen and she's, like, running on knives and she's, like, making stuff bigger and smaller. You know, there's a lot of that in this movie. And it works, you know what I mean? It's fun. It's entertaining. Obviously, it is like a shtick, so to speak, and that could get old, you know, eventually down the line. But right now, and it's funny because what I remember, I've only seen Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania one time in the theater. That's it. Again, I gotta get it on Blu-ray. When I do my rewatch, I'll either have it on Blu-ray or I'll just go to Disney Plus. But we have the version that has ads, and I effing hate you. You have no idea, okay? If you have Disney Plus with ads, you know my effing pain. Because watching The Acolyte, it sucked, okay? Like, real quick, it sucked. Because you're watching a scene, and there's a fight scene, or there's a really crazy... I'll have a review on The Acolyte soon. But there's like a crazy reveal, and then... Febreze! And it's just like, I want to throw my computer through the freaking window, man. I hate it. But I'm going to have to suck it up if I don't have the Blu-ray for Quantumania. But going back to Quantumania, from what I remember at least, again, we'll tackle it when I do the actual review. But it seems like, you know, with that movie, it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp, but they're not really tiny a lot. It's more of like they're big. It was kind of weird how they did that. This film still had that Ant-Man feel to it, where he's getting small like an ant, he's getting big like Giant Man, or he's getting medium-sized in a freaking closet, and Hope has to fix his belt or whatever. You know, like I said, stuff like that, and it is innovative, it is funny, and for the most part, I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Again, it is a bit forgettable. I almost said forgettable. It is a bit forgettable, because, again, it's not, I don't know how else to word it, but it's not as memorable as, say, Infinity War or Civil War, or The Winter Soldier, or, you know, Age of Ultron, for example, right? There's not a whole lot of crazy plot stuff that happens. It really is more of a self-contained film about two groups of people wanting to save a certain someone, and they differ, and they, have a different way of getting around to that end goal, end goal. And speaking of end game, obviously the end credit scene does in fact show that this film takes place. I want to say mainly before and during Infinity War, and of course Thanos snaps. He only does it with one hand. He doesn't do two. Maybe he did. Maybe he snapped with the glove and snapped with his regular finger. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to do that. But in that, you get the effect that, oh shit, like they blip, they dust, and it looks cool, because it's obviously the effect we've seen before, but it's a cool scene because it shows not only where this film takes place finally, but also what happens to X amount of characters. I think that's really cool. And of course, Scott Lang is trapped in the Quantum Zone in that van or whatever. And I think that's kind of cool that, we're leaving off on a cliffhanger. The movie, of course, when we get to Endgame, we'll see what happens. But the next film, Captain Marvel, is a prequel. Obviously, I'm watching that next, even though it's really, I think Captain Marvel is actually the first one you should watch, or the second one you should watch, if you're doing it like time-wise. Of course, I'm doing it in release order. So Captain Marvel will be next. But still, I enjoyed the ending to that film and where it's going to kind of set up and leading into Endgame, which is going to be kind of cool. But like I said, man, overall, I had a really good time with it. I liked it a lot more than what I remember last time. Again, it's not as memorable. It's a bit forgetful at times. Or maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know. But I forgot a lot about it. And then as I was rewatching it, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Or I remember these little scenes. Again, I like the fight scenes. They're pretty creative. I like the comedy for the most part. It works. CGI, we're not at that point where it looks like dog crap yet. So, congrats on that, I guess. Hopefully we can get back to this level of good to decent CGI, which is good. The ants and how they're, look, if you guys know me, I can kill a spider in the basement, whatever, F it. But if I see some ants, my pants are shat and I'm out of the room. Like, I'm gone. Like, I'm a man, okay? Whenever I get a girlfriend, okay, if we're on a date and we see like like when you're walking on the like a, I don't know, sidewalk or some shit, and you see like a fudge ton of ants, like a big clump of them. That's where I gotta get I gotta get a flamethrower. I gotta burn down the house. Like I don't care. Like if I'm over at my girlfriend's house one day and she's like, "Hey, look at these ants," I'm blowing up the house. I don't care. It will happen. So surprisingly, the ants in this film don't really bother me. There's a few scenes where they're on like a car or they're like covering a light. Oh boy, I don't know what the hell my problem is with ants. Like I didn't have like some crazy childhood trauma with ants. I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, I do like Ant-Man though, and I do like the Wasp, and I think she's a good actor in this. Of course, she was Tariel in the Hobbit trilogy. Apparently, she took a like sabbatical. Really, she's done with acting. I don't really know why. Maybe because she's Republican. I don't know. I know Shuri. Of course, right? All the Republicans getting canceled and getting effed for no reason. But I think it is. Kind of weird. I mean, I'm assuming she has reasons. I didn't really look into it, but apparently she is done with acting. I don't know where the Wasp is going to be in the MCU moving forward, and maybe they'll recast, or they'll just wait and she'll come back. I got no clue. But she did a good job in this film. She's pretty much good in everything I've seen. I think she did a decent job of what she was given, especially with Quantumania. We'll get to it. But overall, with Ant-Man and the Wasp, man, I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a pretty fun time. Again, like I said, nothing too crazy in terms of plot, but I do enjoy that it was, after Infinity War, you kind of did need a bit of like a palate cleanser, like chill pill type thing. And you kind of have to see that, okay, these characters are still dealing with, even though it's not end of the world type stuff, they're still dealing with, things that they have to fix, and they have to superhero all over again. And we have some fun jokes, some really good action scenes, and, some okay villains. I think Ghost is a pretty cool villain. She's hot, so that helps. But she's also, we're in that, I think we're starting in that phase where whenever there's someone in a mask, it's automatically a female. Because, because, it's a white costume, and the Wasp is specifically saying, he got away. Where is he going? He must have, and I'm like, all right, they're obviously not going to say they, because that's, pronouns, but you know, you're also not going to say she because then that gives it away. So obviously it's going to be going with a he, and then, oh, surprise, it's a girl, you know, like we see it in Black Widow, we see it in a bunch of other crazy stuff. Obviously, you know, we've seen it in things other than the MCU, but for some reason, I don't know. I don't know why it's like a trope to have like, whenever there's someone in a mask, 90, you know, not Kylo Ren, Boba Fett, you know, 90% of the time it's a girl. John got a problem with that. Like, you know, women are tight. It's just weird. It's just weird that every time, almost every time it's a girl, and they're like, he got away, and I'm like, oh, it's got to be a girl, and then sure enough, boom. But you know, I think Ghost is a good addition. I like the effect. I like the motivation. I think she has good acting range where she is like evil but also desperate at the same time, and that kind of helps out her case as well. So overall, man, I had a good time. Some good jokes. Again, it's not the most you know, crazy, oh my god, I'm going to remember that for years. I'm probably going to forget it in a week, but when I was watching it, I had a good time, and yeah, I think it was a better made movie than Ant-Man 1. Probably, as far as I can remember right now, the best of the trilogy, but tell me down below what you think about Ant-Man and the Wasp, and out of the 3 Ant-Man films, what's your favorite? I'm going to give Ant-Man and the Wasp an A-, I think. You know, some, like I said, a few jokes don't really hit too well, and again, it's not as, I would have done the plot differently myself, but what we did get, I enjoyed. You know, it's not the best movie of all time or anything, but it's certainly a lot better than what I remember. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.